Are you prepared for climate disasters? Here are some recommendations and tips from the Alameda County General Services Agency, Office of Sustainability, and voluntary organizations active in disasters. We experience many types of climate events here in the Bay Area, so we are here to provide some guidance to help you prepare and respond to related threats, such as wildfires, smoke, power shutoffs, storms and flooding, heat waves, and more. We will cover climate disaster preparedness resources and communication tools, including information about which community members are particularly vulnerable and how to prepare. Then we will dive deep into wildfires, wildfire smoke, power outages, storms and flooding, and heat waves. And although we do not have a section thoroughly covering earthquakes, the preparedness tips we will cover are applicable to any hazard. Finally, we will share resources you can use. Here are some headlines from 2023 and 2024, showing news about local atmospheric rivers, fires, heat waves, and power outages. This demonstrates that these events are already happening and are going to continue, and they will have real impacts for our community, with infrastructure impacted, businesses closing, impacts to human health, and more. So, who is going to be impacted by these types of events? Frontline communities will be impacted first and worst by climate change, and frontline residents may not have resources to adapt or respond. These include older adults, children, people with medical conditions, people with disabilities, low-income residents, communities of color, indigenous communities, people living alone, people who are unhoused, and outdoor workers. Residents may also face multiple vulnerabilities at once. To start off, we will cover climate preparedness. Disasters can happen unexpectedly, so it's important to be prepared in advance. The first step in being prepared is knowing the events that occur locally. You can learn about these events by signing up for emergency and evacuation alerts, which I'll discuss later, and following Alameda County local agencies such as Fire and the Office of Emergency Services to stay up to date on events happening in the county. Step 2 consists of having a plan. Review your evacuation plan with your family and/or friends and have designated meeting spots for evacuations. For example, know the quickest route to exit your area if a wildfire approaches your home. Step 3 is making a preparedness kit. We'll talk more about this on the next slide. Lastly, step 4 is getting involved. You can sign up to volunteer to help others and strengthen your community by visiting acgov.org/ready/involved. Visit ready.gov/kit to view a checklist of items to include in your preparedness kit. Pack water and food for several days, ideally 1 gallon of water per person per day, and pack all items together in a durable bag and store it in an easily accessible place where it can be quickly grabbed when you need to go. Family members can pack individual bags that include items such as clothes, personal belongings, and entertaining activities for kids. And don't forget to pack essential needs for special family members, such as pet food for your dog or life-saving medications for an older adult in the family. Create a prep kit for your home, work, and car, and refresh your kits every year to ensure all food and medication are not expired. Visit acalert.org to sign up for our messaging system to be alerted of climate-related disasters, earthquake information, and other hazards. When an emergency threatens lives, it's critical that we can reach you. AC Alert sends you emergency messages to your chosen devices for events in the county. You can receive alerts as a text message, email, or even a phone call to a landline. Follow our local preparedness social medias to stay up to date on events in the county. Depending on the severity and type of disaster, You could receive an evacuation warning, evacuation order, or shelter-in-place order. An evacuation warning means there is a serious threat and you should get ready to go. And you should go now if people or animals need extra time. An evacuation order means leave immediately because your life is in danger. And shelter in place means stay indoors and take precautions. For example, when the air quality is very unhealthy for the general public. The county uses a tool called Genesis Protect, formerly Zonehaven, to help communities prepare for evacuations before a disaster strikes. Genesis Protect works with local emergency planners and first responders to guide decision-making around if, when, and where to order evacuations, while prioritizing the most vulnerable areas. You can download the Genesis Protect app with a smartphone or search your zone at protect.genesis.com/search. Safe drinking water may not be available during or after many climate-related disasters. In addition to having a supply of bottled water, it is also helpful to learn how to treat water. The best method to treating water is to boil it. This will kill bacteria, viruses, and parasites. Boil for 1 minute at elevations below 6,500 feet and boil for 3 minutes at elevations above 6,500 feet. Disinfecting water will kill most viruses and bacteria. Add 8 drops, or about 1/8 of a teaspoon, of 5 to 9% unscented household bleach to 1 gallon of water. Mix well and wait 30 minutes before using. Lastly, filtering water can remove parasites. There are multiple types of water filters, so just follow the manufacturer's instructions. Note, filtered water might need additional treatment to be safe. This visual is borrowed from FEMA's ready.gov, the emergency preparedness website, which shows a way to think about how residents can stay connected to one another. This graphic highlights writing out phone numbers and names for an emergency contact, out-of-town contact, and neighborhood meeting places. In the sections for additional information, you can add information for community organizations and support networks that may help you during a disaster. Write out your emergency contacts to see who you might need to check in on, get in touch with, or ask for help during extreme weather events. I've shared a lot of information, and now I will ask you a couple questions about some of the key facts you just heard. This will help you hold on to the most important key pieces of information. Pause the video after I read the options to think about your answer. Then press play again to hear the answer. First question, how often should you refresh your preparedness kits? 1, every week, 2, every year, or 3, every 10 years? The answer is 2, every year. Pick a time of year to check. September is National Preparedness Month. Next question. What should you do if you receive an evacuation order? 1, leave immediately. 2, get ready to go. Or 3, stay indoors. The answer is 1, leave immediately because your life is in danger. And what is the best way to make your drinking water safe? 1, disinfection. 2, boil. Or 3, filter. The answer is 2, boil. Boiling water kills bacteria, viruses, and parasites. For the rest of the presentation, we will cover specific threats, including how the threats might change with the changing climate, best practices, and protective actions. First, we will address extreme heat and related hazards. In general, an extreme heat day in Alameda County is defined as days where the temperature is above 92.6 degrees. However, Each city has a more accurate representation of an extreme heat day for that area. Extreme heat days range in temperature in the county from 88.3 degrees in Oakland up to 102.7 degrees in Livermore. CalAdapt, which is a database for climate data, shows that regionally across Alameda County, we are expecting about 5 extreme heat days annually. This is expected to go up to about 16 days by mid-century. Even though right now you can have relief during the night, as we get further into high temperatures, the nights are getting hotter, so you won't get that relief from the high temperatures at night. This slide shows heat vulnerability from a composite map based on census tracts and represents the social and environmental factors that contribute to community heat vulnerability in Alameda County. Overlapping social vulnerabilities and built environment factors, such as a high percentage of lower income people and renters, lower tree canopy cover, and older housing without air conditioning, make areas of the county particularly vulnerable to extreme heat. There is a number of vulnerability factors related to heat, and areas with the highest heat vulnerability in the county appear in Oakland, San Leandro, and Hayward. Heat exhaustion and heat stroke are two types of heat illnesses that can affect people during an extreme heat event. This image was developed with information from the Public Health Department and describes some of the symptoms for heat exhaustion and heat stroke. When there is an extreme heat event, you want to keep an eye out for headaches, dizziness, nausea, and a loss of consciousness. Heat exhaustion can look similar to heat stroke. Both are serious, but heat stroke is potentially life-threatening. Someone experiencing heat stroke may not sweat and may show confusion. So, who is the most vulnerable to extreme heat? People with pre-existing health conditions may be more sensitive to heat. Older adults are more sensitive because they tend to sweat less, which is one of the ways that the body keeps cool. People who are unhoused experience constant outdoor exposure. People living in homes without air conditioning or who cannot run the air conditioning due to costs are at risk since they can't feel relief from the AC. Outdoor workers, such as those who work in construction, landscaping, public works, or agriculture, are exposed to extreme heat during work hours. And people who are socially isolated have a significant risk of becoming injured or passing away due to heat-related illness if they don't have someone checking in on them. Intersecting vulnerabilities will also increase risk. For example, an older adult who lives alone has a greater risk factor to extreme heat. So how can you prepare and stay safe? You should drink plenty of cool water and stay hydrated. Stay in air conditioning as much as possible, especially when the temperature is in the high 90s. Wear loose, lightweight, and light-colored clothing. Shower or bathe in cool water. Place cool cloths on your neck, hands, and feet. Avoid strenuous activities, especially outdoors. And you can visit a cooling center. Cooling centers are a great resource to utilize during extreme heat events. These are public places where people can go to access air conditioning during building operational hours, such as a library or community center. The best cooling centers are places that you already know and already have a relationship with. Lastly, if you are able, check in on your family, friends, and neighbors, especially those who are living alone, to make sure they are okay during extreme heat events. Question time. In general, what is an extreme heat day for Alameda County? 1. 90 plus degrees. 2. 92.6 plus degrees. Or 3. 95.2 plus degrees. The answer is 2, 92.6 plus degrees. Next question. Confusion and not sweating are symptoms of heat stroke. 1, true, or 2, false. The answer is 1, true. Heat stroke is very serious. You should seek medical attention. And how can you stay safe during extreme heat events? 1, stay hydrated. 2, put cool cloths on your neck, hands, and feet. Or 3, either or both. The answer is 3, either or both. Next, we will address wildfires and related hazards. With climate change, we have higher temperatures as well as snowmelt happening sooner. Both of these conditions combined result in a longer, drier season, which leads to more frequent and severe wildfires. Also due to dry conditions, what used to be a 5-month fire season in 1970s is now 7 months of fire season. This is now our new normal. We are seeing this happen year after year, and that is resulting in smoke events, fire risk, power shutoffs, and more for the Bay Area. Here's a map of the wildfire severity zone in Alameda County. As you can see, the East Bay Hills, the Central County, and areas in the southeast section of the county have a very high wildfire severity. Factors such as fire likelihood, fire behavior, fire history, existing and potential fuel, terrain, weather, and more are used to classify the lands. So who is most vulnerable? To allow extra travel time, older adults and people with disabilities may consider evacuating during evacuation warnings or at any point that they feel unsafe. Never wait to be told to leave an unsafe situation. People living in older homes. Their homes may be more vulnerable to catching on fire due to flammable building materials. Low-income individuals may not have access to transportation, such as a car, to evacuate. And the unhoused are very susceptible to the impacts of wildfires. Their lives and belongings are at high risk. In the last 10 years, over half of the wildfires in the US have been caused by humans. So how can you prepare and stay safe? Be very aware when burning debris, using electrical equipment, starting campfires, and lighting fireworks. Make sure to thoroughly put out any human-started fires if it is safe to do so. Know how to exit each room in at least 2 ways in case you must evacuate. Install smoke detectors and make sure to change the batteries. Have a smoke detector in each bedroom and in the hallway outside the bedrooms. If you are a homeowner, create defensible space. This means reducing fire fuel. In zone 0, 0 to 5 feet away from the house, use hardscape materials like gravel, which is not combustible. Remove dead brush and leaves from the gutters, roof, and deck. In zone 1, 5 to 30 feet away from the house, and zone 2, 30 to 100 feet away from the house, mow annual grass to a maximum of 4 inches, remove dead brush and leaves from the yard, and regularly trim trees and shrubs. Store combustible materials such as propane tanks and firewood at least 30 feet away from your home. And you can use your hose to spray water over your yard and roof if a fire is on the way and you have time. You can update your home with fire smart upgrades if possible. Build your roof with metal, clay, or tile instead of wood or shingles to reduce flammability. Cover vent openings with metal mesh to reduce openings for embers. Install dual paned windows to reduce the chance of glass breaking. Use ignition-resistant building materials for house siding, such as stucco instead of wood products like panels or shingles, and install a metal fence instead of a wooden fence. You can also consider your options for insurance. In fire-prone areas, residents not served by insurance companies can purchase from the California Fair Access to Insurance Requirement Plan, or the FAIR Plan. Question time. If you need extra time to evacuate, when should you leave? 1. When you smell smoke. 2. Whenever you feel unsafe. Or 3. When someone knocks on your door. The answer is 2. Whenever you feel unsafe. Populations such as older adults or people with disabilities may need extra time to evacuate due to mobility. And what causes over half of the wildfires in the U.S.? 1. Human activities. 2. Lightning. Or 3. Electrical system infrastructure. The answer is 1. Human activities. Make sure to put out any human-started fires if it is safe to do so. Now we will address wildfire smoke and poor air quality. The image on the left is the Air Quality Index, which is a measure with numbers that correspond to particulates in the air, and it is scaled to what is healthy or not healthy for particular groups. At green, 0 to 50 AQI, no health impacts are expected. At yellow, 51 to 100 AQI, it's okay for most people to be out, unless you are particularly sensitive to air pollution. At orange, 101 to 150 AQI, it is unhealthy for sensitive groups, such as people who are pregnant, infants and young children, elders, people with medical conditions, or if you are bothered by smoke. These groups are all advised to limit time outdoors. At red and purple levels, everyone, especially children, is advised to limit or avoid activities and exposure outside. This is for any value over 150 in the Air Quality Index. This slide also shows a map from the Air District from November 2018 during the raging fires we experienced. As you can see, purple means very unhealthy air quality. This level hadn't been seen before the 2018 fires in the Bay Area, but here we see the county blanketed with purple, and readings were unhealthy for several days. Smoke and poor air quality can have impacts on human health. Wildfire smoke contains chemicals, gases, and fine particles that can cause harm to our health. Smoke not only irritates the eyes and airways, but also tends to worsen respiratory conditions like asthma or other kinds of breathing problems. You can have an increased risk of heart attack or other kinds of cardiac issues. There is also increased risk of long-term effects, particularly for young people whose respiratory systems are still developing. And there can be long-term effects even if there aren't sudden symptoms. Something to keep in mind is that the ventilation for smoke and COVID are different. On a smoky day, outside air is harmful, and staying indoors can protect against smoke. So who is the most vulnerable during smoke and poor air quality events? People with pre-existing medical conditions, such as diabetes, heart or lung disease, are particularly at risk in wildfire smoke. Older adults may be as well, as they're more likely to have these conditions. Children are at risk because young people have respiratory systems that are still developing, so they breathe in more air and air pollution by body weight. They are more likely to be outside, and they're also more likely to have asthma. For people who are pregnant, there could be potential health effects for them or their fetus. People who are living in older homes are more likely to have leakage of outside air, and people living or working outside, such as construction workers, landscapers, agriculture workers, or the unhoused. They are also more exposed to these events. So how can you prepare and stay safe? The recommended actions are to stay indoors, stay hydrated, and keep cool. Keep your indoor air clean. If you want to filter your indoor air, consider a HEPA air purifier or a MERV 13 filter for HVAC air conditioning. Also, avoid activities such as burning candles, vacuuming, using the stove, turning on the fireplace, and smoking. Limit exercise outdoors. And if you want to wear a mask, you'll need a fitted N95 type mask. You can visit fire.air now to view the up-to-date air quality index. This image is from a good air quality day, as you can see all the green dots, but these will change color if the air quality is poor. For example, you can see the one orange dot in Oakland. Question time. At what air quality level is everyone advised to avoid outdoor activities? 1. 51 to 100 yellow, 2. 101 to 150 orange, or 3. 151 to 200 red. The answer is 3. 151 to 200 red. Sensitive groups should avoid prolonged outdoor exertion, and everyone else should also limit prolonged outdoor exertion. Next question. How can smoke impact health? 1. Irritate eyes. 2. Make asthma worse. 3. Cause long-term health impacts. Or 4. All of the above. The answer is 4. All of the above. And what activity should you avoid during poor air quality events? 1. Talking with friends. 2. Physical tasks outdoors. Or 3. Drinking water. The answer is 2. Physical tasks outdoors. Power shutoffs are another impact to be aware of. The power may go out in storm conditions, but there may also be planned power shutoffs designed to limit the risk of wildfires. PG&E may temporarily turn off the power to high fire threat areas to reduce the risk of fires caused by electric infrastructure. These are called Public Safety Power Shutoffs, or PSPS. If there is a PSPS event, PG&E will provide a map of the impacted areas and customers. There are certain conditions that trigger public safety power shutoffs. These include humidity, high winds, fuel conditions, red flag fire risk warning, and local observations. This high fire threat district map is sponsored by the California Public Utilities Commission and is designed specifically for identifying areas where there is an increased risk for utility-associated wildfire. This fire threat map for the county was captured mid-June 2023. There are several areas around the county where we can expect high fire risk zones. You'll want to be prepared for power outages, even if they're unplanned. PSPS impacts have declined with improvements to electric system infrastructure. PSPS are less frequent than they used to be, but they are still of concern, especially for those in high fire risk areas. Power outages can also happen during storms, so you should be prepared to carry on your daily activities without power during extreme storm events. So who is most vulnerable during power outages and shutoffs? When there is a power outage, lighting and communication methods, such as cell phones, may lose power. So people who live in isolated areas may have limited communication tools. Children or elders in care facilities and their caregivers may have to change their routines if the facilities must close. People with disabilities or medical conditions who depend on electric medical and mobility devices are at risk, and there's a risk for food spoilage because power outages could last for 24 to 72 hours or longer. So low-income individuals may be impacted if food needs to be thrown away. Additionally, wages may be lost due to businesses being closed. People with overlapping vulnerabilities may be further impacted by power shutoffs. For example, people vulnerable to extreme heat may not be able to use the AC to cool down in the event of a power shutoff. Homes and businesses with power lines in the elevated or extreme wildfire risk areas are more likely to have their power shut off to prevent fire risk. And during storms, people may be affected if they have a powered pump removing rain or floodwater from their homes. There are some support programs to aid people during power outages. The main program from PG&E is the Medical Baseline Program. It is for any person with an eligible medical condition or a medical device that uses power. Once you enroll in the program, this allows you to get a bill reduction for the use of electricity for life-saving devices, as well as extra PG&E notifications. They will call you or even come to your door to make sure that you know about planned shutoffs. PG&E also has a portable battery program, which allows you to get a fully subsidized battery for use during these events. Additionally, there is a Disability Disaster Access and Resources program that is run by the Independent Living Centers, serving people with disabilities. They provide support that includes portable backup batteries, hotel accommodation, and food vouchers. Krill serves southern and eastern Alameda County, and SIL serves northern Alameda County, including Berkeley, Oakland, Alameda, Emeryville, Piedmont, and Albany. However, there are some populations to be aware of that may not be served by current program offerings. For example, people with refrigerated medication will be affected but are not served by the Medical Baseline program. Medical Baseline requires documentation by a doctor, which may take several steps to obtain and require language skills. The portal is also only available to government agencies, not community health providers. So how can you prepare and stay safe? Fill medications early. Stock up on non-perishable food. Make your own ice to cool food and limit opening the fridge once the power is off. Find buddies for those living alone. Call 211 or the non-emergency power shutoffs hotline for help. Have backup keys for electronic keys and locks. During shutoffs, unplug large electrical appliances that may surge when power returns, and keep flashlights and solar or battery lanterns on hand. Question time. Why do public safety power shutoffs occur? 1. To fix electrical system infrastructure. 2. Storm conditions knock out the power. Or 3. To reduce electric system infrastructure fires. The answer is 3, to reduce electric system infrastructure fires. Next question. Who can sign up for extra notifications and planned power shutoffs? 1. Residents with dishwashers. 2. Residents with medical devices that use power. Or 3. Residents with 2 phone lines. The answer is 2. Residents with medical devices that use power. Residents with medical conditions that require power can receive extra PG&E notifications through the Medical Baseline program. And what can lose power during a power shutoff? 1. Powered medical equipment. 2. Refrigerators. Or 3. Both. The answer is 3. Both. Power shutoffs can last for 24 to 72 plus hours, so there is a risk for food spoilage. Next, we will review storms and flooding. Flooding is the most common natural disaster in the U.S., so it's important to understand the risks and know what to do if a flood occurs. Atmospheric rivers are long, narrow regions in the atmosphere that transport water vapor. You can think of them as rivers in the sky. Atmospheric rivers that carry large amounts of water vapor and strong winds can create extreme rainfall and lead to flooding and mudslides. Flash floods begin within a few hours to even minutes after intense rainfall. This gives people little time to prepare and take precautions. Flooding occurs in areas where the ground is unable to absorb all of the fallen water. Urban areas are particularly vulnerable to flash flooding because of all the impervious paved surfaces. A flood watch is when conditions for floods are favorable and possible, and a flood warning is when flooding is imminent or happening. Mudslides can happen when water rapidly accumulates in the ground. Mudslides can contain water, mud, rocks, and debris. Watch for mudslides in areas with steep slopes and runoff, construction, and burned land from wildfires. Mudslides can cause road closures, which will be posted to the public works site for the county. Storms bring strong winds with ranging intensity. Strong winds may produce difficult driving conditions for vehicles and knock down trees, power lines, fences, and temporary structures. Loose or unsecured objects may be blown away. A wind advisory is when sustained winds of 31 to 39 miles per hour for an hour or more and/or wind gusts of 46 to 57 miles per hour for any duration are expected. A high wind warning is when sustained winds of 40 miles per hour or higher for an hour or more, or wind gusts of 58 miles per hour or higher for any duration are expected. And a high wind watch is when high wind warning conditions are possible. So, who is most vulnerable? To allow extra travel time, older adults and people with disabilities may consider evacuating during evacuation warnings or at any point that they feel unsafe. Never wait to be told to leave an unsafe situation. People with medical conditions. Floodwaters may contain diseases that can cause or worsen health impacts. People living in older homes. Water may leak into the house due to deteriorated foundation. Low-income individuals, they may not have access to transportation such as a car to evacuate, and the unhoused. They are very susceptible to the impacts of floods and storms. Their lives and belongings are at high risk. Here's a map showing the flood hazard areas for the county. Neighborhoods near the San Lorenzo Creek, Alameda Creek, San Antonio Reservoir, the Bay shoreline, and more are at high risk of flooding. You can view FEMA's website to see if you are located in the FEMA floodplain. The terms 100-year flood and 500-year flood are used to describe the chance of a flood happening. A 100-year flood is a flood that has a 1 in 100 or a 1% chance of occurring each year. So how can you prepare and stay safe? First of all, turn around, don't drown. Never walk or drive through floodwaters, and never go around warning barricades. People and items, including cars, can be easily swept away in fast-moving floodwaters. Just 6 inches of water can knock you over, and 1 foot of water can float many vehicles. Avoid contact with floodwater. There may be pollutants, debris, downed and charged power lines, or animals such as snakes hiding in floodwaters. When high winds are expected, remove or secure any outdoor hazards such as patio furniture, garbage cans, grills, children's toys, and more. Place sandbags along the perimeter of your home to divert water away from the foundation. Visit the county's Public Works website to view where sandbags are available for pickup. You may need to evacuate quickly, so keep your car gas tank at least half full. Never touch or drive over downed power lines. The charges may electrocute you. And do not return home until it's safe. After a flood, your home may be contaminated with mold or sewage, which can cause health risks. So dry out your home and clean or remove all contaminated items. And wear protective clothing when cleaning up. Wait for further instructions from authorities or professionals before turning on or off electricity and gas, and check with local authorities to ensure your drinking water is safe and has not been contaminated. Question time. If you need extra time to evacuate, when should you leave? 1. When it rains heavily. 2. Whenever you feel unsafe. Or 3. When someone knocks on your door. The answer is 2. Whenever you feel unsafe. Populations such as older adults or people with disabilities may need extra time to evacuate due to mobility. Next question. What is a flood warning? 1. When the conditions for floods are favorable and possible, or 2. When flooding is imminent or happening. The answer is 2. When flooding is imminent or happening. Last question. What is a 100-year flood? 1. A flood that occurs every 100 years, or 2. A flood that has a 1 in 100 or 1% chance of occurring each year. The answer is 2. A flood that has a 1 in 100 or 1% chance of occurring each year. The next couple of slides include lists of links that may be useful to you. We encourage you to sign up for the best alert system for you in your county and your city if applicable. You can use online search to find these resources, or for clickable links, view the slides for this presentation at acsustain.org/what/resilience/disaster.htm. Here are links to resources for preparedness and evacuation. Here are links to resources for air quality information and how to stay protected from smoke and wildfires. PG&E provides several resources for planned power shutoffs. See those at these links. Here are links to storm and flood-related resources. And here are links to heat wave resources. Thank you for watching our training and for everything you do to help make our community healthier and more resilient. To stay connected with us, sign up to become a member of VOAD and follow along with Alameda County at ready.acgov.org.